Welcome to the Deep Dive. You're here because you want to get a handle on, well, all the digital and mechanical beings running around in the Matrix universe.
Right, the programs, the machines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you want to do it efficiently. So we've gone through the films, the games, all that stuff to really boil it down for you.
Yeah, we want to give you the crucial understanding of who these entities are, what they do, and, what they really mean within this whole world.
Forget wading through hours of lore. We're diving straight into what counts.
That's the plan. We'll cover everything from those ubiquitous agents you see everywhere
Yeah, miss them.
to the massive machines doing battle out in the real world. And the aim isn't just listing them off.
No, we want to explore what their existence actually tells us about the Matrix itself, about control, purpose, all that good stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start inside the simulation. The programs within the Matrix films. First up, got to be the agents, right? Those iconic figures in black.
Absolutely. You see them, you know it's serious, but they're more than just like digital security guards.
How so?
Think of them as the Matrix's immune system. The sources basically describe them as antivirus programs. Their one job, keep the system stable.
So anything weird?
Anything that deviates. A human waking up, a program glitching or going rogue, they step in. Hard.
And the originals, we had Smith, Brown, and Jones. Smith, well, his whole arc was something else.
Oh, definitely. It felt like a glitch that became the system's biggest nightmare, really.
What's so fascinating about Smith, I think, is how he just breaks free from his programming.
Right. That encounter with Neo seems to flip a switch. He becomes an exile, yeah, but then he starts replicating, like a virus himself.
Which really underlines that theme, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Even in this super controlled world, weird stuff can emerge.
Exactly. Unexpected consequences.
Right.
Brown and Jones, meanwhile, they kind of show the system upgrading, right? They become obsolete, new versions roll out.
Yeah, the upgrades. Johnson, Thompson, and Jackson, they seem tougher maybe.
They were definitely presented as a more significant challenge. Probably upgraded code, maybe different tactics. Shows the machines are learning, adapting their control methods.
Trying to contain Neo and the others.
Yeah, though ultimately they still couldn't stop the anomalies completely. Thompson, like you mentioned in the outline, he's involved in some key moments like the freeway chase. The system keeps trying.
Okay, moving up the ladder.
Yeah.
The architect, the guy who actually built the place.
Ah, the architect. His chat with Neo, that was a mind bender.
Telling him about all the previous Matrix versions.
Exactly. It reveals the Matrix isn't perfect. It's gone through cycles, instability, corrections. He sees himself as like the rational core trying to impose order on messy humanity.
But he keeps failing, in a way.
Because human consciousness is just too unpredictable, right? It raises that whole question. Can you really control something like the human mind in a simulation? Seems not perfectly.
Then you get programs that seem, well, almost human. Kamala Ramachandra and their daughter Sati. They show emotions, creativity.
Yeah, that family unit really pushes the boundary of what a program is supposed to be. You've got creativity, devotion, and Sati. She exists purely because of love between two programs.
Which is wild.
It really is. It suggests a complexity way beyond just functional code. If programs can feel love, what does that even mean in this digital world? And Sati being smuggled to the Oracle, that shows connection, maybe even self-preservation instinct.
Then there's the Keymaker. Another program, but with such a specific, locked-in purpose.
Absolutely. His entire existence is just making keys. Keys to access the source. The sources even say his purpose came before he did.
Wow. So zero free will there.
It seems like it. He really embodies that idea of a program defined entirely by its function. Makes you wonder how much autonomy any program really has besides the anomalies.
And speaking of anomalies who carve their own path, the Merovingian.
Ah, the Frenchman. Yeah, he's a great example of a program gone rogue. He set himself up as this information broker, kind of a digital underworld boss.
Runs Club Hell, has those weird twins.
Right, and he's got this whole philosophy based on causality. Cause and effect. Everything is predetermined in his view, which is how he justifies manipulating everyone.
He's an exile, leading other exiles.
Yeah, trafficking information, running his network. It shows the system isn't watertight, programs can slip through the cracks, and he's ambitious too, apparently wants the Oracle's power.
Which brings us to the Oracle, maybe the most influential program, even though she seems, nice.
He seems is the key word there. She definitely guides the humans, gives Neo cookies and advice.
But she's playing a much bigger game.
Oh, for sure. She has foresight, sees probabilities, but she's actively working against the architect's balance. She introduces imbalance deliberately.
To force a change.
Seems like it, towards a resolution she wants.
Hmm.
But even she can't predict Neo's choices, apparently. There's still unpredictability, even for her, limits to her sight.
Tangled up with the Merovingian is Persephone, his wife. She seems dissatisfied.
Deeply, she seems to crave real emotion, something authentic which she doesn't get from him.
So she helps Neo and the others.
For a price. A kiss that reminds her of genuine passion. It's like she needs to feed on real feelings. Kind of a tragic figure, in a way.
And protecting the Oracle, we have Seraph.
Her guardian, yeah. He tests people who want to see her. You got to get past him first.
Like proving your worth.
Exactly. And his name, Seraph, like the angels. It fits that guardian role perfectly. A powerful protector for a very important program.
Then there's the train man. He operates that weird subway station.
Mobile Avenue, yeah. That limbo space between the Matrix and the Machine City. He works for the Merovingian.
Feels very mythological. Like Charon the ferryman to the underworld.
That's a common interpretation, definitely. Guiding souls or programs between worlds. Some sources suggest it's like an underground railroad for rogue programs trying to escape deletion.
Adds another layer to that digital underworld.
For sure.
And lastly, for the Merovingian's crew, the twins. The ghostly white guys.
Right, his henchmen. Their ability to go translucent, phase through things. It's another example of unusual, maybe unstable code within the Matrix.
They seem pretty effective in that freeway chase.
Definitely a unique threat. And apparently, even the agents didn't like them, which suggests they operate outside the normal rules.
Okay, wow. That's a lot of different programs just within the films, each with their own role, their own agenda sometimes.
It's a complex digital ecosystem.
Right. So now let's step outside the simulation. Let's talk about the machines in the real world.
Yeah.
The hardware, so to speak.
Okay, yeah, the physical entities that humanity is actually at war with. And looming large at the end of the trilogy is the Deus Ex Machina.
The god from the machine.
Yeah.
That name says a lot.
It really does, especially given its appearance, that massive face made of smaller machines. It represents the ultimate machine authority.
And it negotiates with Neo.
Yeah, after Neo defeats Smith, it steps in. Just like in Greek drama, an outside force resolving things. It agrees to the truce, peace with Zion, raises huge questions about machine consciousness and control.
And then the frontline soldiers, the sentinels, the squiddies.
Ugh, yeah. Probably the most iconic machine design, the cephalopod-like things hunting humans in the ruins.
They're terrifying.
Pure killing machines.
Yeah.
Scouts, combat units, they have lasers, tow bombs. They swarm their targets.
Yeah.
Relentless. We see them tearing through Zion's defenses.
They're the main threat in the real world for most of the story.
Absolutely. Just this constant menacing presence.
And what about the harvesters? Those are maybe even more disturbing.
Yeah, the huge spider-like machines we see transporting the human embryos. They're part of the infrastructure that keeps the Matrix running, harvesting humans.
This pure nightmare fuel, seeing those things.
Their design emphasizes that industrial, almost parasitic function. And apparently there are combat versions, too. Shows how integrated their systems are.
Okay, so that covers the big machines from the films. But the video games expanded on this, right?
Yeah.
Introduced more programs, more machine types.
He did, yeah. The games explore the period after the truce, the sort of uneasy peace. We meet Agent Gray, who apparently takes a lead role after the Matrix gets rebooted in the Matrix Online.
A new top agent.
Seems like it. And there's also the Instructor, a program in Zion's archives who just narrates history, a neutral observer.
But the games really delve into the exiles, don't they? Programs that broke free.
Oh, yeah. Big time. It becomes like this whole digital diaspora. You have figures like the General, who used to command Sentinels but dissented after the truce and became an exile. Shows even machines can disagree.
Ideological splits.
Right. And Flood, a program marked for dilution, who joins the Merovingian to survive. Then you get this whole bestiary of exiles drawing on myths.
Like vampires and werewolves.
Basically, yeah. Vamps that feed on code. Lupines like the Dobermen, who are tough werewolf-like things. Seductive succubi. Tengu in Japanese-themed constructs.
Wow.
There are also the Seraphim, described as predecessors to agents, maybe an earlier security system. Ethereals, linked to alien abduction stories inside the Matrix. Dire lupines, gargoyles. It really expands the variety of rogue programs.
So where do all these exiles hang out?
In what the game's called domains, or the dwelling of exiles, these are like self-sustaining little pocket realities, constructs outside the main Matrix system.
Safe havens?
Sort of. Places where they can exist, maybe build their own societies, hidden from the core system, shows how fragmented things can get.
And the Animatrix shorts, they gave us some backstory machines, too.
They did. Crucially, B166ER, the first machine to kill a human, acting in self-defense.
The spark that lit the fire.
Pretty much. That single act escalates into the machine war, forces you to think about machine rights, self-preservation. It's heavy stuff.
And we also saw the runners.
Yeah, different scout units, advanced ground-based transforming machines, just showing more diversity in machine tech beyond the Sentinels.
So looking at all this, programs, machines, exiles, there's clearly a spectrum of, like, sentience here, isn't there?
Absolutely. You've got programs that seem purely functional, just code doing a job, like the Keymaker, maybe.
And then you've got Sati, capable of love,
Mm-hmm.
or the Oracle, with her complex motivations, or even Smith, driven by hatred.
Exactly. It suggests the Matrix isn't just a simple deterministic simulation. There's room for emergence, complexity, maybe even genuine consciousness in ways the architect never planned.
That blurring of the lines between code and life,
Yeah.
that's really at the heart of it all.
It's one of the most fascinating things about the whole franchise, I think.
So as we start to wrap up this deep dive, it's kind of amazing just how rich this world is, the sheer variety of programs and machines.
It really is intricate. They aren't just set dressing. They are the story in many ways. They drive the conflict, raise the big questions.
Yeah. So we've tried to give you a solid overview, pulling from the different sources, hopefully making sense of their roles and why they matter, without getting totally lost in the weeds.
Hopefully it gives you a clearer picture of that whole digital and mechanical tapestry, quickly, efficiently.
Okay, and with that, here's something to chew on. We've seen this whole complex ecosystem of digital beings, programs, machines, some with drives, goals, even emotions, all within this constructed reality. What does their simulated existence suggest about the potential for real purpose, maybe even real life, to emerge from artificial origins, even inside a system designed for control?
A profound question. Really makes you think about the nature of reality itself.
Something to ponder long after you unplug.